Yeah, okay. One voice we still haven't heard is from Christina, our student, member of the Global Student Forum. Now, students can play an important role in translating their experience into adapting policy change. Now, what recommendations would you have, Christina?
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me here as a student and as a student leader who I believe is a vessel for the millions of voices of the other students around the world. So some of the concrete actions that I would propose here as a student leader is firstly that we must reframe and redefine quality education. Now, for the past couple of years, we have talked about quality education being inclusive and equitable, and that's a very good place to start. But when we consider the pandemic and we consider the crises, quality education must also be adaptable, and it must also be able to withstand different settings and situations. So we cannot say we have true quality education if after we've had a crisis, then the entire education system collapses. In Europe, during the pandemic between March 2020 and March 2021, you would have lost 25.6 weeks of schooling. In Latin America and the Caribbean, up until November of last year, we have 10 million students still out of school. Quality education needs to be able to withstand different situations. Another concrete action, we need to ensure that we engender student leadership when we talk about policy and programming. Now, when I read a number of different strategies about education, I know that there is the involvement of youth, and the word youth tends to be utilized, and I applaud that. However, it is student activism that is really key at the education table, because we're the ones within the schools advocating at that level. Student leaders are essential, equal, and indispensable partners, and we must be engaged in that manner. Now, let me give you an example, a real example. The Jamaican government would have taken a full month to decide what they were going to do about remote learning with students. And it took a tweet. I literally went on Twitter and I at the Prime Minister and I said, listen, we have 53.2% internet penetration rate in my country. Thousands of students will be disenfranchised when you go online. I'm asking you to please zero rate online learning platforms. There was no response. And so, as the president of students, I went to the telecom providers myself and I said, you need to do this for the future consumers of your product. And they bought into it. And so before we even got government yes, we lobbied telecoms, they said yes. Then we went to government and they said, okay, telecoms already say yes, we will partner. And so to date, over 100 online learning platforms were zero rated in Jamaica. And we were able to have a successful, or at least I would say a more successful remote learning system than we would have had before. That was because of student leadership. Now, another thing that we have is the fact that student leadership is recognized by our legislation. So every student board, or rather every school board, has to have a student representative on that board. I know that may just be because of the context of Jamaica, and I respect other countries' context, but it's very difficult for student leaders or even youth leaders to always rely on political will to be engaged. We may not always have a president, a prime minister, etc., who is inclined to engage students or inclined to engage youth. And so if we want to have that kind of connected, inclusive, equitable education system that involves students and young people, we have to have mechanisms in place and not opportunities, because opportunities respond to political will, and that may not always be in place. Thank you.
It's true. You did a good job. You should come to Belgium from time to time.